Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Here I talk about narcissistic abuse, spiritual awakening, cultic dynamics, and how all of these things connect. Today we're going to dive into a topic that causes a lot of confusion, heartbreak, and sometimes even obsession. Are you really with your twin flame, or are you actually dealing with a narcissist? This is a question I hear a lot, and honestly, it's one of the most important ones to get clarity on. Because the difference between the two can be life-changing. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll have some clear markers to tell the difference and to protect yourself. Now, if you watched my previous video, I shared a bit about the toxic truths of the twin flame industry and the way it has trapped people in cycles of confusion and codependency. But here's the thing. Even people who've never been in an actual twin flame community are still using this language. For example, maybe you've heard your friends say, "We have such a deep soul connection. I think he's my twin flame." Or maybe you've thought it yourself at some point. It's everywhere on social media, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. The idea of the one has become really mainstream. Here's my perspective as a relationship counsellor and as someone who has personally seen the harm of these beliefs. I don't believe in the one or a perfect match, and I want to explain why that's not just unrealistic but potentially dangerous. Why is it dangerous? Because it encourages magical thinking. It puts us in a fantasy state where we stop paying attention to the actual reality of what's happening in the relationship. We ignore red flags. We excuse toxic behaviors. We tell ourselves this must be part of the sacred journey, when in reality, it could just be abuse or manipulation. Relationships aren't about some mystical perfection. They're about dynamics, how two people interact, how their attachment styles play out together, and how they show up for each other when life gets messy. Most relationships follow a fairly predictable pattern. Stage 1 is the honeymoon stage. Butterflies in the tummy, chemistry, late night texts, feeling like you can't get enough of each other. Your brain is basically flooded with feel-good hormones, oxytocin and dopamine, and it's intoxicating. But here's the thing. That stage only lasts about 3 to 6 months. After that comes the trust-building stage. This is where things get real. The haze starts to clear and you start asking the deeper questions. Can I trust this person? Do they follow through on their word? Do they have my back when I'm struggling? Or will they disappear when it gets tough? And if you've got unresolved trauma, like childhood abuse, betrayal in past relationships, or toxic family dynamics, these questions can feel even louder. And without healing, these old wounds can pull you into patterns of conflict, self-sabotage, or staying too long in unhealthy relationships. Now, let's talk about narcissists. This is where things can get really confusing. Because if you don't know the difference between a healthy connection and a narcissistic dynamic, it's so easy to mistake love bombing for a twin flame soul connection. Here's the cycle of a narcissistic relationship. It usually follows 4 stages, which I call LDDH, the acronym. Love bombing, devaluation, discard, and hoovering. Love bombing. At the start, the narcissist overwhelms you with attention, praise, gifts, and intensity. It feels magical, like a fairy tale, but it's actually a trap. And then, after a bit of time, they go into devaluation. Slowly the compliments fade and are replaced with digs, subtle put-downs, criticisms that chip away at your confidence. Then comes the discard stage. They withdraw, or they move on completely, leaving you hurt, confused, and questioning yourself. And just when you're starting to heal comes the hoovering stage. They circle back, questioning if they can still pull you back under their control. Does that sound familiar? Now, why are empaths especially vulnerable to this? Well, empaths are highly sensitive to emotions. When a narcissist love bombs them, it feels powerful and very real. And I'm not saying that's not the case for everybody in this situation. It's just that empaths do feel things even more strongly than a lot of other people. Empaths also have this natural drive to nurture and heal others, which means they often excuse bad behavior thinking, oh, if I just love them enough, they'll change. And on top of that, many empaths put other people's needs above their own. And when your boundaries are weak, you're more easily manipulated. You put those three things together, and love bombing doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like destiny, like a twin flame reunion. But it isn't. It's control. And that's why I make these videos, because I know how disorientating and painful this can be. And I know how easy it is to get trapped in myths like the one or the twin flame journey, when in reality, what's happening is a cycle of abuse. The good news is, once you see it, you can start to break free. You can learn the difference between healthy love and toxic attachment. And you can begin to rebuild relationships that are grounded in respect, reciprocity, and reality, not fantasy and magical thinking. If this video resonates with you, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future uploads. I make regular videos about narcissistic abuse, cultic dynamics, and relationship healing. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever mistaken a toxic relationship for a soul connection? Drop a comment below and share your story. Your voice might help someone else who's going through the exact same thing right now. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.